That was so nice. I like when people are nice to me, but then I cry. It's the only time I cry. I'm usually pretty mean. Anyway, those that know me over there, I can tell you it's true. Not so nice. She dresses sweet though. So hi everybody. Thanks for taking time out of your day to come see me. I appreciate it. I'm Victoria. I'm 37. I'm a Scorpio. I live on Johns Island, South Carolina, which is right outside of Charleston. I am from Montclair, New Jersey, or Manhattan, depending on the time of my life. I claim both places. You can definitely tell where I'm from by what I'm drinking, especially if I get mad at you. There's the Jersey. So my little bio, I like to start out and talk about how I became a writer, because a lot of people ask me those kind of questions. So I've always been a storyteller. I'm a creative person. And if you're creative, you know that you find different ways to find your creativity and channel it. So I started off as a dancer. Not so much anymore. Thank you, Spanx. Someone asked me if I had to use the restroom. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe. Started off as a dancer, then I had 2 babies and COVID. Don't look like that anymore. It's fine. That's what Ozempic is for, right? So anyway, I was a dancer. That didn't work out. Then I became an actress. I know we're surprised. Went to the College of Charleston, got my theater degree where I met my best friend, Seth. Then what did I do after that? I graduated and my father was like, you know, you're such a good little seller. Why don't you sell real estate? So he got me a job managing corporate real estate, which was basically warehouses in Secaucus, New Jersey, which is the town like Sumter, where you have to say it and sound Southern. Secaucus, you sound like you're from Jersey, no matter how you say it. It's awful. And I was miserable. I was crying the whole year. I didn't know what to do with myself. Seth was there, he remembers. It was so cold that I was crying and my tears were freezing to my face. And I was like, this is pathetic and miserable and it's so sad. I started laughing. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I got to get my life together. I almost dropped a profanity. So my mother said, well, you know, what do you really want to do? I want to be a chef. So I went to culinary school and that didn't work out either, but I got a husband out of it. So it was okay. I also got great plot to write this book. So I went to culinary school. I got laid off of my job. Thank God. Collected unemployment. Thank you, New York City. But I was working 90 hours a week for $8 an hour with no health insurance. And I never saw my boyfriend at the time. Now he's my husband, boyfriend. Still my boyfriend. But anyway, we looked at each other. We're like, this sucks. We never see each other and we're broke. What do we do? So he said, my parents have a restaurant up in Connecticut. Why don't we go work there? And that was a disaster. So we looked at each other and I was like, listen, I love you. I don't think I can do this anymore. And he's the firstborn son of an Italian immigrant family. So I had zero expectation that he would leave and come with me, but he was like, just break the lease. I can't leave you. It's precious. So I was like, I'm moving home. He goes to New Jersey. I go, how dare you, to Charleston? So we got in the car, packed everything up, went to Charleston. I got a job at Anthropologie because I was selling pretty things. I needed a break from my trauma working in kitchens. Made zero money there. You can guess why. Made about average between $10,000 and $8,000 a day for somebody else. And that's ridiculous. So again, I was like, I don't know what to do. There was this fabulous place in Charleston that doesn't exist anymore called Charleston Cooks. And I got to do this and talk about cooking and then teach people who weren't chefs how to cook. And I loved that because it was a great engagement with people. And I got to share what I love the most, which is food. And my mother got in my ear and she said, you know, Victoria, you're storytelling. You did it as an actress, you did it as a dancer, you did it as a salesperson, and now you're doing it as a chef. So I realized that you can tell a lot about somebody, where they come from, their culture, what they like by what they eat. So I was like, cool, storytelling. And I was like, kind of sounds like a good book. She goes, you know how you could make some money? And I was like, how, Madonna, telling me I can sing? That's not going to work. Like, I'm not a writer. She goes, you've always been a writer. You've always been a storyteller. And I guess that's true. I was into playwriting in college. I did like English, but I didn't do very well because I can't spell. The copy editors at HarperCollins, after seeing my manuscript, pretty sure they're all smoking Marlboro Reds now, like this chick. But anyway, so she dared me. She said, why don't you give it a shot? So in secret, I did it as a hobby and I wrote about 20 pages. And she would tell me, when am I going to see it? When am I going to see it? And I was like, never, I'm never going to be ready to show it to you. It was on my laptop. I was over at her house, and those that know my mom pretty much could tell you what happened. I left it open while I went to the bathroom, and her butt got and read it. I came out sobbing. I was like, is my Facebook open? What did you see? And she's like, I read your book, you idiot. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, Mom, how could you do that? She's like, it's so good and you're a stupid idiot. And I hate you if you don't do this for the rest of your life. And I was like, no, Mom, come on. It's just a hobby. She goes, fine, I'm going to steal it and write it. I was like, okay, it's on. So I became a writer. I quit my job, got married. Then I had 2 kids. My mom got sick and passed away. Then we had COVID. So there was a lot of things that kept me from finishing the book, but my mom's dying words to me were finish your effing book. She did not use effing. This ring she bought for me that I wear every day on tour. It's a moonstone. I love it. She bought it for me because I was in Krogan's and I was like, Mom, I just experienced love at first sight. She's like, you're married. What are you talking about? Carmine's not in that store. I said, no, it's a ring. She said, what kind of ring? I sent her a picture. She goes, get it, but finish your effing book. I was like, okay. So this is my finish my effing book ring. And I wear it every day on tour because I did. So So now I'm writing and I love it. I've tried a lot of them, like a cat with a couple of lives. I've tried other things, but really this feels right to me. It is such an honor and a privilege to be able to do what I love and share with other people and give joy. My books, if you haven't read it yet, it'll make you happy. It'll make you hungry. It'll make you remember parts of your life. It'll make you think about the South. And I think everybody wants to be Southern. So I think it's a good place to write about. Anyway, I'm going to do a little reading, if that's okay with everybody. And I'm going to read the first paragraph of my book because no matter what I write for the rest of my life, this is what I'll be the most proud of because this is the paragraph that Dorothea Benton Frank read and believed in me. So it's my favorite. So this is Magnolia, chapter 1. It'll be my husband's first time hearing it. Just kidding, I love you. Last night I dreamed of Charleston, as I do almost every night. Far away from my beloved land by day, at night I'm there. I dreamed of marsh grass, of coral sunsets, the smell of pluff mud, and the sound of the breeze rustling through the fronds of the palmetto trees. If you were to cut me open, you'd find the water of the Atlantic instead of my blood, driftwood instead of bones, and seashells in place of everything else. When I was a little girl and I couldn't sleep, my grandmother used to tell me to pretend that my breaths were the ocean waves rolling in and pulling away from the shore. I belonged to Charleston. I belonged to the island, Sullivan's Island, where I grew up. It calls me home every night. This is my story about how I returned to the island and found my wings. It's not so bad. It's pretty good. I like it. Every time I read it, I'm like, she doesn't suck. This is okay. I can let other people read this. It is a really weird process to write something and then let it go. And to then see like other people send me feedback. Have y'all read or finished the book yet? Seth did. No, so it's new. Okay, what do you think? I love it. Although I know you like it a little bit. You wouldn't be here if you thought it sucked. So I'm happy to have you. Well, awesome. What part, I know put you on the spot, but is there a part that like you like the most?
Just the way you explain, like you just read, the way you explain the
descriptions.
Yeah. You bring it to life.
You know, I think describing the South is really important because place is so important in a novel. And I think it plays another character. You know, when you talk about the South in particular, each pocket of the South is different, even though we're all really hot. Other than that, we all love a casserole. But, you know, Charleston is different than Louisiana, is different than Asheville, is different than every place is different. It has its own culture and nuances. So to talk about the Lowcountry, I felt really compelled to be very specific about the descriptions, like palmetto trees and pluff mud and coral sunsets, you know, how our sun looks. And yeah, me too. Yes. So I'm a reader first before I'm a writer. I mean, all I do is read. And sometimes like, my husband makes me like get rid of books because he's like, it's just too much. He's like, we're drowning him. No, it's okay. He's right. you gotta know me. We're this close to A&E doing a documentary on me. So I really needed to get rid of, he's like, I'm going to get you a big diamond. I'm like, just give me some more bookcases, you know? I love it. No, I made him give me a diamond too. Let's be real. So, I mean, I'm quite a catch. All this personality, poor thing. But I love to read. And so I wanted to make sure, I say this all the time. So I didn't go to school for English. I went to school for theater. So I graduated from the Frank School of Writing. And the first rule of that is to write a book you'd want to read. So I was really influenced by multi-generational stories of resilient women in the South, like Fried Green Tomatoes and Steel Magnolias, and my mom's book, The Yayas, and I loved it. And I went to the store and I was like, there's nothing like that on the shelves. And I've read everything that there is, and there's nobody who's 28 out there, because that's how old I was in the beginning of this. Not anymore, but I wanted to write a story about a coming of age story too, because I think people come of age multiple times in their life. Growing up is not linear. And I think that when you decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life, when you lose a parent, when you fall in love, when you become a mother, all those kind of things shape you. So I wanted to kind of weave all that into my book. And also, like everyone wants to be Southern, everyone wants to know about a restaurant. We love that topic. And I think it's kind of like why there are so many restaurants, because everyone believes they can have one, everyone believes they're a writer too. It's sort of like, yeah. So anyway, that's how I came to write that book. And then anyway, I'm going to open a Q&A because that's so much more fun than just listen to me run my mouth. So if you guys have any questions, please ask them.
You can start with the in-person audience. I have a question I'd like to.
You can ask me whatever you'd like, just not how to save money. Yes, Hope.
What about your next adventure after this? Is there more books in the works?
So the question was, what is up next? Up next is the sequel. So I'm writing a series. It started off as a single book. And you know me, so I was like, oh, this is it. But then when I wrote it, it was 750 pages long. So we had to cut that baby down. So I got a lot of work I could mine to make a second book. And I also love the sister's story. I was really compelled to write Violet's story. So that's the second one. I'm working on that now. And I think there'll be 4, maybe 6. I'm kind of toying with doing some, maybe 7. You never, hey, as long as the check clears, I'll write one, It's a 2-book minimum tonight. I have 2 kids. Okay.
And then what
Can
about
can
your-
we do a virtual question?
oh, yes.
And the other, if that's okay, all right.
Mhm.
So virtual question is a little bit about your writing process. How would you describe it, and is it changing?
I would say chaotic is the first word that comes to mind. When I started, it was very catch it when I could. I have 2 kids under 6 years old. So they had to be unconscious or in school for me to be able to write. And I have a husband who needs things. And when he's home, I want to hang, so I don't really focus very well. Now it's different. Now I'm very motivated by money and my deadline. So it's true. I have an outline. I have an overview. I write the overview first, then I write an outline. I have it more like bullet points now because I felt very constricted with a formal outline. And sometimes the best stories are the ones that don't turn out the way you expect them to. So I let the characters kind of talk to me a bit. I sound crazy. I am, but that's part of it. So my process now, I sit down at 10 o'clock every morning after I have a cup of coffee and a microwave burrito. And I try to answer my emails and get stuff out of the way. It's usually about 11 o'clock by the time I start writing. And then I do not move from 11 to 3. And that's how I do it. And then during edits, I go to my father's house in Sullivan's Island where there's no internet for me, nothing that I can't get up and change the dishwasher or something like that. So can't get distracted. It's sitting my butt in the chair and trying to be funny and meaningful and, soulful and all those other things. But yeah, it's grueling. There's not a lot of magic to it. It's grit.
You bring the magic though. with
Thank
your
you.
own way. And that's
Thank
what's-
you.
That's what's beautiful. about it.
Thank you. I don't know. I feel like half the time I don't know what I'm doing, but it turns out okay. I've been listening to it on tape and I'm like, she's okay. That Victoria Benton Frank. I like her. I'll buy her next book.
We like you.
Thank you.
Sally Field moment,
Thank
right?
you.
We like
Oh, Sally Field. Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
My question kind of ties into what you brought up about going to your dad's house,
Yeah.
the dedication.
Oh,
Tell me
yeah.
What pivotal part he played. in this.
You gonna get me to cry on camera.
Yeah.
And you're gonna repeat the
But yes,
question.
I'm gonna repeat the question. The question was, what was a pivotal moment that made me dedicate the book to my mother and my father?
Yeah, well, what part did he play?
What part did my father play? He cracked the whip. That's basically what he did. He was like, listen, you have written so many words and so many pages, and you have to finish this through. You have to see it through. And he was very encouraging to sell it, not to just let it. It wasn't just, my father is, I'll tell you a funny story. So my dad is your stereotypical German man. I've had probably 3 compliments from him my entire life. And he is just tough. And he is motivated by money and numbers and strategy. And he is just the opposite of me in every way. He's very, structured, which is great. It was helpful. So he encouraged me to get a freelance editor, which I worked with first. And then he was like, when are you going to sell it? When are you going to sell it? When are you going to sell it? And that was just, he was my going motivation because I didn't want to get in trouble. Which I am always in trouble. So I live in there. I live in trouble. It's my town. So he got the advanced reading copy to this. This is my favorite story I tell on book tour because it's so funny and it's true. And I was like, okay, Dad. He's like, I'm going to read it. Because he wouldn't read it until it was done. He read the first paragraph or the first couple pages when my mom shared it with him, but he didn't want to finish it until he had a hard copy. He's fussy. Anyway, so I gave him the advanced reading copy to take on a plane ride. And he was on his way to Australia. And I said, okay, Dad, just to let you know, like my book's a little spicier than Mama's, So there are certain parts that I do not want you to read. And he was like, okay. And I was like, especially chapter 10. And he was like, got it. I was like, remember, no chapter 10. He's like, got it. I was like, okay. So he gets on the plane and he sends me this text and it blew me up. I showed it to my husband. I was crying hysterically, which again, I only cry when people are really nice to me or during the Publix commercials at Thanksgiving. So it was like, he calls me chicken. It was like, chicken, I just want to say, this is so amazing. He's like, you are so talented. You are better than your mom. He's like, and I mean that, which of course is not true, but it's very nice. And it was like, your descriptions are great. The characters are real. The timing is perfect. He's like, you have your own voice. You're doing your own thing in her vein, but it's still very much your thing. And I'm just so proud of you. I was waiting for the next one to be like, I have a brain tumor, but that never came. That was a genuine compliment. And I was like, oh my God. And I screenshotted it. I thought about tattooing it. I showed it to my husband. He almost fainted. We were like, is he okay? Like, what's happening? And so then another one came a few minutes later and I saw the dots. And I was like, oh my God, there's a part 2. He got to a really good part. He's going to give me another compliment. It's going to be number 3 of my whole life. I was like, so excited. And it came out, it was like I read chapter 10. And I was like, oh shit, there it is. Yep. Okay. There it is. There's my expletive for the evening. I met my quota. So another story about that in a second. So he gets it. He read chapter 10 and I wrote, I'm grounded. And then he wrote me back. He goes, I just want to let you know that your father has had way spicier encounters than chapter 10. Yeah, he should have grounded me. That would have been better. I was like, well, congratulations. So the next book's going to be even spicier. Let's see if we can gross Pete Frank out. No, I'm just kidding.
Take that.
Yeah, take that. It's a competition now. So I was in Camden, South Carolina, which I don't know if y'all have ever been to Camden. Have you ever been to Camden?
Yes.
I was at the Robert Mills Courthouse, which is beautiful. It's right across the street from the reenactment. I was like, oh, who won? Today, we change. Yikes. I was like, I'm going to burst into flames. I better stay still. I was with my mom. She's like, don't say anything. I was like, okay. I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm a good, quiet liberal. And they have me moving up the, flapping books from my mother's slide. And there was a little old lady in the back. And I'm talking old blue Marge Simpson hair, walker. She locked eyes with me and she was like, I'm going to ask this question when I get up there. I could see her. She was like plotting. I was like, oh God, what is this woman going to say to me? So she comes up, she goes, you writing a book like your mama? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, will you do me a favor? I said, sure. She goes, put some more sex in it. So this one's for her. Chapter 10 for Betty Ann, wherever you are. Yeah. True story. She's unhinged. I'm sorry. Talking about sex.
On tour,
On tour.
what has surprised you the most, like in terms of kind of what you expected, knowing your mom's experiences with her, and your experiences? What's taken you by surprise?
Do I have to repeat that question?
No, I think I'm pretty loud.
Okay.
I think I got it.
I would say, one thing.
Or you can do more.
I think the number one thing that is the most surprising is, besides the book sales, because I'm blown away. I can't believe all these people show up to see me run my mouth. And it's amazing. I'm very, very overwhelmed with that. I think the best surprise is how kind everybody is. I think because I grew up an actress and a chef, I was ready to just be spanked everywhere I went. Like I was just ready for it. But the opposite has happened, and it's amazing. And having people read my story and talk to me about characters that I created like they're real freaking people in the room. I mean, it's very surreal, but it's incredible. The whole thing has been a celebration. It's been like a birthday for my book, like the world tour. It's awesome. I love it. And I love all the people, and I love the stories that they tell me and all these friendships I'm making and the booksellers. I do. I mean that. I'm not just, blown wind, which I do, but that was genuine. My dad said that my theater degree is the most useless thing I could have ever bought. I use that sucker every day. This is the truth, right? Yeah. Hello, public speaking. I've really been groomed for this my whole life. I know how to flap books. I know how to write books. Yeah, I'm the whole package. She's a triple threat. All right. Any live audience question?
Should I start with chapter 10?
Yes, ma'am. Yep. No, you need the slow burn. You got to let it work up to it. Yeah, but don't worry. There's more than just chapter 10. A couple nights, Carmine was working home late, and I decided to write at night. I was like, 1 glass of wine, 2 glasses of wine. Let's talk about Sam, that hot Dr. Farmer. You'll meet him. He's great. I had my way with him. Sorry, honey. It's fictional. It doesn't count. He's like, whatever. If you're gonna be married to me, you've got to be laid back, like patient of a saint. Anyway, what? Do you have a virtual question?
Yes.
Okay.
So, virtual question, chapter 10 related.
Yeah, oh God. Sorry, I did. I started it.
Spoilers, right?
Okay, no.
So,
Give it away.
the question is, the author of Outlander, Diane Gabaldon.
Yeah.
She wrote a whole mini novella about writing sex scenes. And
Add to cart. You got that in the store? Sorry, we're sold out.
Back order. So what is your secret for writing the spicy and the sexy?
Right there, baby. My husband, the Italian. My father said, I don't care who you marry, but don't marry an Italian because they're good, really bad. They're going to hurt you. Right there.
He's blushing.
I know, he's my stallion. So embarrassed. It's gonna be like, babe, it's gonna be like, this is why I don't go to your events. I talk about it whether you're here or not. So, because no, I think the real author way to answer that, my PR answer, is that I think about details just like in anything else. So sorry to be gross and sorry if we're just going to keep it real. That's my brand, to keep it real. I think much like in cinema, when you have a sex scene that you really like, they don't show everything. It's really engaging all of your senses and letting your imagination do the work. And you describe other senses, like how someone smells and how time stops a little bit and how your heart races and those kind of things, because you're ignited by somebody else. And so I think about moments that I've had in my life, only since you, baby, that make me feel alive, and I think good sex is an escape from the world, and it's very personal. So that's what I try to do. I try to make you like hot. Yeah. That's what I try to do. Yeah. But just enough, not too much, because you don't want to I'm not a bursting bodices, throbbing member romance writer. I'm writing Southern fiction, so I have to keep it in a certain parameter. But I also, I give you the cookie. I'm not mean. I'm not a tease. My best friends are in the audience with me. Extra silly. We're all gonna get the giggles.
She gives you the cookie.
She gives you the cookie.
She's also a Scorpio.
Yeah, I'm also a Scorpio, right? Double Scorpio, Cancer moon. I'm gonna give it to you. Yeah. We're in Asheville. We can talk about things like that. If I did that joke in Charleston, they'd be like, okay. That wouldn't go over in Camden. No. We talk about, know your audience. We talk about heritage and tradition and being a Southern woman up there, which are all important here too. But like, let's talk about chapter 10, That's what we want to talk about.
Live audience, got a follow-up question, follow that question?
Carmine's going to leave right now.
Can you start a podcast called The Cookie? Yes. Okay. So funny thing about merch. So we're live, so I can't say this, but I will say it afterwards when we're not live. I am starting to do merch because people are like really excited about it. And one thing I'm going to do is say uses colorful language and make it rainbow. We'll talk about what I'm going to do that later when we're not live, but, I have that coming out, and she gives you the cookie, and somebody else says, I need coffee to pull the Jesus out of me, which is a line in my book. And so people are liking these silly quotes. Start with chapter 10, those kind of things. Yeah. I think if I ever do open that bookstore that I want to open up, I'm going to call it chapter 10. Yeah. 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 Have a whole romance section. I don't even read romance, but yeah, manifest it. I would love to do a podcast. I think that would be so fun. Oh, no, is that the drink?
Yeah.
Remember we were seeing it last night. Carmen and I saw that, and half the people are pedaling and the other half are just like, I'd be on the back like, does this have a seatbelt? Like, so fun. Yeah, maybe we all need to go get a drink later. I don't know.
Do you have another question?
Not to get like personal, but
all
I'm going off that topic for a minute because I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Because I know you're your own entity. And
Yeah.
you're beautiful, and I know you're writing.
Thank you.
But as far as like your mom's followers,
Mhm.
have they been out to give you a hug and cheer you on?
In droves. It is everywhere I go, there's at least 20. At least a virtual or otherwise, that have been just the warmest, most wonderful cheerleaders that I could ever have. And I think that makes my tour very unique to inherit that audience. But I hope that you start the book My Mom's Fan and you finish it mine. That's my goal on tour. Because I really genuinely started wanting to do this tour and do such a big one to let the fans know, my mother's fans know, that we're okay. A lot of people are like, oh my God, like, how do you recover from that? You don't. You move forward, and I think there is a lesson of resilience and dream chasing and being your own woman and doing your own thing while respecting where you come from. And that's sort of the backbone of my tour. And I think women and men too really respond to that. And so it's been great. It's been great.
Yeah.
And I've met some really incredible people. It's cool.
Little bits of hugs from your mom.
Hugs everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. I feel her with me everywhere I go. Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome. I thought I would be sadder. I thought it was going to be the heartbreak tour, but it's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's like the mending tour. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to say it.
Thank God. Cause I packed my waterproof mascara. I was ready. People in the beginning of it too, like my Charleston location, especially, there was a lot of crying, not on my part, but there's a lot of crying because people feel, and still do, that she belonged to them, and she did. And we all did. We were all, yeah, she was so real and so genuine that I think that's what that connection was. So yeah. And they're showing up to me like they're my mom and my sister and my aunt and my friend and my neighbor. And they are.
You talk about you so much that we feel like we already knew you.
You did.
Like you were ours to begin with.
I'm yours.
And
Yeah.
then now we get to meet you, like you said, as an author yourself.
Thank
That's
you.
so special.
It's special for me too. It really is. And my mom and I were so close, that in a lot of ways, like, I think I'm doing it for both of us now.
Just continuing.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah. It's nice. It's a privilege. Really, it is.
When we think about influences, your mother is
Yeah.
a big influence, of course, but what are some other either literary or cinematic or dramatic, theater-driven,
Dramatic.
comedic influences that have shaped your writing and helped you make some of the choices you made in your book?
It's a very good question. I always feel a little bit apprehensive to answer a question like that because it's tough for me to say what influenced me. I can say what I aspire to be, but I can't
the people that I aspire to be like, I don't write like them. You know, I write like me, and I would love to write like them. I wish I wrote like them, but I don't. And I think that that's really also important, that you write. I'm my own woman and I write my own book. It's got to be my authentic voice. However, I do worship at the altar of Alice Hoffman, Ellen Hildebrand. I love her. Adriana Chajani, Patty Callahan Henry. God, who else? I'm blanking. Carm, who do I read? Alice Hoffman is the one I like, have every book she's ever written. I have leather bound books of hers. Like, I'm obsessed. She should.
Poisonwood Bible.
Poisonwood Bible. Love that book. Yeah, I don't know. I read everything. I'm reading The Fourth Wing, which is a book about dragons. So like, I really run the gamut on reading. And I think that's important too. I read a lot of books that I don't write like on purpose when I'm writing, because I don't want to be influenced. You know, I'm always afraid of like by accident taking something of someone else's. I know that's silly, but like, I'm always like, oh, I want to, and it's probably because I'm so worried of being compared to my mother. Although now I love being compared to my mom, because what a compliment. But, you know, I think that's why I love all books. I really do. And I have such an appreciation for even bad ones, because it takes a lot of work to sit your butt in a chair, write a novel, finish it, publish it, sell it, you know, so yeah. Sure.
Other questions as we get to wrapping up from the audience, and maybe Victoria would read a little.
I could read more, sure. Chapter 10. No, I'm not gonna read that. I'm not gonna do that. We're not gonna read the sex scene. That's yeah, I need at least one. Yeah. I'm gonna do a live on my Instagram one day. I'll be like, listen, let's get going. Here we go. My numbers have dropped this week. Let's read chapter 10. No. Yeah. Do y'all have any questions?
I already know all the answers.
Oh, it's true. He does. Yeah, you could tell a story if you wanted to. No, that's he's playing nice.
And if you.
Oh, you have a question?
Are you going to continue with your book talks that you're doing on your Instagram page?
Yes. So the question was, am I going to?
I enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. So the question is, when am I going to continue the book talks? Yes. So I'm now gearing it towards books that I'm reading versus just my mom's books, because that was sad and it took a lot of time to do it. And also rereading my mom's books, as wonderful as it is, I hear her voice and sometimes it's too much. So I think I'm gonna do one a year now, because I've done 7, so I'm just gonna space it out. And in the meantime, I'm doing books that I like to read. So I did the marriage portrait, and I did Mad Honey. Yeah, Mad Honey.
I read Mad Honey.
Oh, great. Influenced. Love it. Love to see it. I love Mad Honey. That I didn't know anything about that book. Someone just handed it to me and I was like, all right. And I didn't know what it was about. I didn't even pay attention that 2 authors wrote it together. I literally just read it. Loved it. And there's 2 other books in my life that I've read that have done that to me. One is Euphoria by Lily King. I had no idea what that was about. Someone handed it to me. I was on a plane. I used to be really afraid of flying, so I would dive into books to distract myself. That book is phenomenal. It is a perfectly curated story. It's from the point of view of 3 people. It's a weird love triangle. But it's about so much more. It's so cool. And the book Little Bee, and I forget who wrote that book now. I'm blanking, but I didn't know anything about that and changed my life. It was such a good book. I love good stories. Oh, and The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Unbelievable book. Yeah, so good, right? Paperback, I think, just got released. That is, someone asked me on tour, my favorite question so far is, what book would you like to be made into a movie? And I usually hate remember when you wouldn't go with me to movies? So there's everyone who knows me won't go to the movies with me if I've read the book, because I get really angry. But I would love to see that book made into a movie. It's so weird and descriptive and cool. And man, I wish I could write a book that good, like that creative, that different, that off the beaten path, but he did such a good job. So yeah. So yes, I will continue the book club forever, because I will always be a reader. Oh, sure.
So what words of wisdom would you share with someone who aspires to be a writer?
what words of wisdom would I share to someone who aspires to be a writer? Write the book. I'm not even being silly, like literally just do it. Because there's always an excuse to not write. It's very difficult to sit down and focus, but it is sit in your butt in the chair and write in the book. And Ellen Hildebrand, when she was halfway to where she is now, my mom did a panel with her. And she said, I may not be the best writer in the group, but I finish. And I was like, ooh, girl. And that stuck with me forever. It's not necessarily, you can clean up a mess. You can't clean up a blank page. Just put it on the page. Just write. Don't worry about showing it to anyone. Don't worry about selling it. Cross the bridges when you have to cross the bridges. Don't pay that toll twice. Just sit down, write the book. Yeah. And write it for yourself too. That's really important. Make sure that you're writing it to make yourself happy. Don't worry about the audience because it may never happen, right? I mean, to be honest, most people write books 15 pages in and they give up because it's hard. It hurts. It's like dieting. It's like, damn it. I hate it, but I know it's good for me. Thank you, Spanx. Yes, it's a sponsor. Please sponsor my book tour. Jeez, somebody, this is a fortune. Anyway, 2 book minimum tonight, guys. Do you take online orders?
Yes. And on that, I'd like to thank Victoria for being here.
Thank you.
Being a lovely audience.
Thank you.
Virtual.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.